Hi, and thanks so much for joining me for my top 5 fragrances, powders, and lip shades of 2022. Starting with lip shades, there are 5 that rose to the top this year as ones that I kept pulling for. It's because they are quite neutral on my skin tone and work with a lot of different looks, and they don't overpower eyeshadow or blush. They just work seamlessly with various looks, which is why I love them. Really versatile. And I love the wear on these as well. So starting with this Victoria Beckham, I think I've talked about this quite a bit because this is about the 3rd or 4th that I've purchased of this. Maybe my most purchased lip product ever. And it's in the shade Spark. I love the way it feels on the lips. It's really hydrating, always very comfortable. This one's very close to my lip color, so it's like a Your Lips But Better shade on me. So this is a definite go-to when I'm not sure of what to wear. That's how I know I love a lip shade. It's because it, like I said, it doesn't compete with eyeshadow palettes or blushes. It just works with my skin tone. So that's how I consider something a neutral, is that it doesn't stand out, but it works harmoniously with a lot of different things. So Victoria Beckham in Spark is a beautiful shade. I have another one that's kind of like a notch up from that, in that it's very complementary to my skin tone, but it's one of those lipsticks that makes everything else look better, and that's how this was created. This one's by Lisa Eldridge. It's called Spirited Away, and I have that on right now along with another lip shade, so I'll tell you about that in a moment. But here's the color, and it looks quite intense here, but when you put it on, it's like a Your Lips But Better if you're my coloring, and it adds just a little bit more to it, makes everything come alive. Yeah, it just really enhances the skin tone. It's got more of a sheer kind of appearance to it though. So I do have the Lip Definer by Chantecaille in Natural, which is pretty much the only lip liner I use. So I guess that would be my favorite lip liner of the year. I don't have many that compete with it, but I have it on with Spirited Away. Again, another hydrating formula. I love this one. I pull for this quite often. And then moving up from there in intensity, but it's a very casual kind of product, which is why I've pulled for it so much this year. And I like the effect it has when I apply it. It's the #1 to Chanel. It's in Lively Rosewood. You can see we kind of are on a berry toned spectrum here. I think that's what works best with my coloring. Even though I'm warm, that blue in there tends to look really nice. So this one I love just patting on the lips for adding some color but not being too perfect. I really like that for something more casual or a softer look. Actually, it would have worked really well with this, but I have Spirited Away and this on right now together. That's what I have on. I actually put Spirited Away on first. Yeah, this was actually a different video that I filmed. I'll list it below if it hasn't posted yet. But this is the one in Lively Rosewood, and you can use this on the cheeks, but I don't love it on the cheeks. I just love using this on the lips. It's such an easy product to use. Really pretty, lip enhancing kind of product. For more intensity, kind of moving up in the intensities, I love Rock Rose by Chantecaille. It's a lip veil. You can see, again, that berry tone. Every time I wear it, I get questions about it, and I know so many of you love this as well. It's a great statement lip, but still being subdued enough that it's not distracting. And again, looks really pretty if you have similar coloring to me. Lovely formula, nice and hydrating, a little bit more opaque than say something like Spirited Away. Provides a lot of color. It's a very classic, tasteful, effortless kind of statement lip. And then when you want to talk about statement lips, this one's really comfortable, and that's kind of the theme with these products, is that they've got to be comfortable. If they're not comfortable to wear, I'm not going to pull for them as often. So we have the Le Rouge L'Estray in #824 by Chanel. So this is the most intense of the 5 that I just talked about, and it has the highest, it's not glossy though, it's got the highest shine on it, I think, out of all the ones I talked about. Such a pretty lip. I love the intense pigmentation on this. It's always such a pretty one. I feel really pulled together with it, and a little extra fancy with this one. Moving on to powders. This one is fairly new to me this year, but it's got the most unique no powder appearance to it. It doesn't look like powder, but it has the effect of a powder in that it can take away that shine. Actually, let me add a little bit right now because I haven't powdered in a moment here. I'm gonna take this Rephr 30 brush and just take a little, and it has this mesh, and I'm gonna add it to the front here just because you can see what it does. It just has the effective powder without looking like powder. It's really nice. If I had less hyperpigmentation or less imperfections on the front of my face, I'd probably pull for this one a lot more, but I've been really impressed with that powder. And then we've got the RODIAL powder, the glass powder, which really impressive powder as well. Let's add a little more. We're gonna add some of that. So this is a little bit more intensity in terms of powdering, but it still has a very natural appearance to it. And this one was so hard to get a hold of for a while. Hopefully it's more readily available now. You get a virtually undetectable powder product finish with this, which is why I love that one as well when it comes to loose powders. We can't talk about powder without talking about my Perfect Blur powder, which I use in pretty much every video. I'm gonna add some more powder just because I love powder. This one adds a little bit more perfecting in terms of not just setting, but it can help even out the skin tone. So that's why I love this. I love the tone of it. It also helps perfect the appearance of the texture of the skin. It somehow smooths the appearance of the skin. So I love that as well. It's like an airbrushed finish. There's no other powder that I can find that compares to this. So that's why I pull for this over and over again. I can always tell if there's something off, it's because maybe I forgot to add this. So it makes such a huge difference. We also have here the CHANTECAILLE Perfect Blur Glow Powder, the new Lotus limited edition powder. Let me add a little bit to the front. So if you like a perfected look but want just a little bit of a glow also, then you can go in with this to kind of highlight the bone structure. It works really well for that. It's really seamless on the skin. Virtually undetectable as well in terms of seeing any particles. I still really love Dim Light by Hourglass, and it's in here in the elephant palette. You can see it right here. Let me see if I can find a clean brush to just add a little bit more of that. I've got a BK 107, and we'll add a little bit to the front. So that one does a little bit of blurring as well. But you can see I've added so much powder to my face, but you can't really see that it's powdery. They have the effect, but they don't have the visible appearance of being a powder on the skin. So if you like more natural makeup like I do, these are all really wonderful powders, all for different purposes, but I went through all the differing degrees of coverage, things like that, depending on your need. That's what I love about powder. I think they're so powerful. I think concealer and powders are so powerful when done well that they can really change or improve the appearance of makeup and make it look like it's not a lot of makeup. Let's talk about fragrances. I have 5 that I have been loving. One of them is new to me, and I quickly fell in love with this because, as you know, I'm not a floral note person. I don't love like one note florals or various florals altogether, but when it comes to CHANTECAILLE, they do their florals so well that they have made me fall in love with floral fragrances. And this one's Le Wild, and this one is a combination of some of my favorite floral notes, including jasmine, and then there's like that leafy note in there as well, which makes it really clean and light. These smell like flowers versus synthetic manufactured scents. They really did capture the essence of flowers in these. So this is Le Wild. I love this. If you want something with a little bit more complex floral notes without being too sweet, without being too heavy, this one's a beautiful one. So I love Le Wild. The second one by CHANTECAILLE is Darby Rose, and this one, rose can be one of the most heavy and sweet floral notes in fragrance, but this one smells like a garden rose. That's what it smells like, and that's why I love it. I love flowers. I just don't typically love flowers in fragrance. So if you want, again, the essence of a real plant, because I think there's like the stem and the leaves, you can smell that in here as well, then I would try something like this. So if you're averse to florals, I would try CHANTECAILLE fragrances. That's why I gravitate towards them, because they have captured my attention in terms of floral notes more than any other fragrance out there. They just typically turn me off because it's too like syrupy almost when it comes to florals, but theirs are beautiful, clean, light, not heavy. They do such a lovely job with floral scents. So if you're interested in any fragrances by Chantecaille, I would try their florals just to see, because Rose does not sound like something I would ever want to try, but theirs is really beautiful. Then we have this one by House of Oud. It's one of the prettiest fragrance bottles that I've ever seen. These are all different. They are made by hand, so each one is different. My mom got the same one and she was a little disappointed there wasn't as much green on hers. I think hers was more gold, but this is the actual bottle here, and this is like a stand. So they have the prettiest scents, very unique, and this one is called Cypress Shade. And let me just check the notes for you on this. When it comes to any of the top notes, I love bergamot, and this one has it. It's got star anise, bergamot, lemon, and mandarin orange. So those citrus scents are things that I like. Middle notes are mimosa, mint, and that's what I like. I like a mint note because I think it's a little unexpected. Coriander and petitgrain. And then base notes are vetiver and cedar. So those all are things that I love, and they're all in this fragrance. Really unique if you want something a little bit different. Niche for sure. This is beautiful, and plus the bottle is stunning. Then we've got, this is a lovely summer scent. I love this as it gets warmer. It's basilico and Fellini, and the notes, I'm going to read them to you. Top are dragon fruit and basil. Again, you have a more herbal kind of note here, like the mint in the last one. This one has basil. The middle notes are violet, wild fig, and I think that's a little bit unique to pair with the basil. And then we've got vetiver and green hay as the base. You can see I love vetiver as well. This is a great one for those warmer months because it's really refreshing. And we've got one that you recommended to me. I'm so glad I picked it up. It's Baccarat Rouge 540. Top notes are jasmine and saffron. So you've got that jasmine again. Heart notes cedarwood, and base notes ambergris accord. So thank you so much for recommending this to me, because anytime I need to pull for a fragrance that's really put together, very sophisticated, very timeless, I'm gonna call it the power suit of fragrances that I have. This is my fragrance power suit. It is beautiful and always smells really wonderful. I know so many of you already love this, and that's why you recommended it. So thank you so much for recommending it, because I love it. And that's it for my top 5 powders, lip shades, and fragrances of 2022. Make sure to tune into my favorites of 2022, where I will pick one from each category and put a look together and tell you why it's my favorite of the entire year. But let me know what you've been loving for fragrances. I love to learn from you, because I'm not as much of a fragrance connoisseur as I know many of you are. So please let me know what you love. I love niche fragrances, something that's not as common and something that's not as widely worn. I love those kinds of things. And of course, jasmine is a note I love. Bergamot. I love anything that's got an oud or any kind of woodsy scent. I love that. Green, fresh, any florals that are really like smelling a fresh flower. I'd love to know what those are. So leave them in the comment section below. And powders and lip shades that I may have missed, let me know what you are loving. But that is it for today's video, so please take care of each other, stay well. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.